here we are in episode 2 of The Slaves of Jedikiah. And Peter, what's the story so far?
Well, I have been captured by Jedikiah, who is out for tomorrow people, basically. And that's as far as we got. I've been kidnapped, basically, from Putney Hospital, or the hospital, where I broke out. And
yes.
I'm not too sure what I am at the moment, so I'm just sort of finding my feet. But I've got a silencer on my head, which doesn't allow me to communicate with the others, as you'll see in a minute.
Now, this chap
No
here,
change there, then.
I believe he had an aristocratic background, this actor.
Oh, yes, he was a Russian baron, Francis de Wolfe. Lived in a huge mansion in Sussex. His father, I believe, was Russian ambassador to the court of St. James. Very big man, about 6'5", as I think I said before. Very powerful, very good character actor. Was in many British films of the 1950s, one or two biblical epics.
This is the first time this title sequence is used at the beginning of the programme, isn't it?
Yep.
It's interesting they didn't do that at the beginning of the first part.
Well, they started with a teaser to get you straight in, I suppose, which was of Kenny on the Tower Bridge.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, Kenny's in that title sequence there. You just saw a little shot of him there.
Yes, there's me being driven off.
You see, even that was new in those days. That was a French siren, that used to have bells before then.
Looks like an ice cream van.
There is a bell on that ambulance, in fact.
Oh, yes.
But it just became so much traffic in the end that you couldn't hear the bells, so they introduced that
It'd be
noise.
fabulous to own one of those now.
Now, we used that house, which I think was somewhere in Guildford, as Lord Dunning's house in a later episode when Mike Bell was in it.
Lord Dung.
Lord Dunning.
Lord Dunning.
Lord Dunning.
This
This is me getting wheeled out and put into old Jedikiah's house.
Those red blankets they used to put accident victims in so you couldn't see the blood.
Report.
Mission accomplished. Silence and fix, boss.
There was a delay at the hospital.
Ah, it was the girl.
What girl?
The one
Now that character there is actually in The Italian Job. When Michael Caine says to him, you're only meant to blow the doors off, he's the one that blows the doors off, Mike Standing.
Why did you say that again during the blue and green?
Oh, right, well, I'll say that again later on as well, just to refresh
Remind
everyone's
people.
memory of why they...
I think it's advisable.
Yes.
Did it, Lefty? Yeah. Silence. You what the man said. Shut up.
Take him to the
Yes, Lefty was played by Derek Crew, I think.
Yeah,
was
Derek
about
Crew,
halfway-
yeah.
That's all right.
Derek was about 5'2", and Mike Standing was about 6 feet, so carrying that stretcher was a bit problematic.
Nice set.
What?
The set is nice.
Yes.
What do you think? Had you popped off then, Philip? Had you drifted away from us then?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just floating about.
See, what I've got on my head now is a silencer.
Now, you see my point here. They're just playing back what we saw on the prologue of the other one.
Your friends cannot hear you.
The epilogue.
I beg your pardon, on the epilogue of the other one.
Jedikiah,
What do you want?
I want to help you.
Ah, I'm free.
You were in
Only one
hospital,
arm.
remember?
Yes.
You do remember the voices, don't you, Stephen? Who
That
is
was his own beard. I'm not sure whether it was his own hair.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
isn't
was his own hair
Yeah,
as
it was
well,
his
yeah.
own hair.
I imagine those eyebrows took hours of preparation.
I think they were his eyebrows too.
Looking up his nose. I always remember looking up his nose. These big, hairy nostrils.
He knows about the others. He can tell us where they
Definitely backcombing the eyebrows there.
Leave us. Very well.
Now that's actually that's another voice there, isn't it? Because I always remember when I watched this as a kid, I thought it was the same person.
Yes, that's the point. Who is that? Who's Jedikiah's boss?
Silence.
Silence is Jedikiah's boss. I ask you, because no
But
one
I
knows.
remember. No, I remember.
It was Spydron? No, it wasn't Spydron.
It was the Cyclops.
Yeah, the Cyclops. That's right. Yeah.
Ah,
I
right.
was just
That-
seeing if you remembered.
That was Robert Bridges, played by an actor called Robert Bridges.
He sounded very similar to Jedikiah, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he sat in a green slimy costume. It was extremely uncomfortable.
He's yet to make his first.
Debut, yes.
Yes. Now, just tell me the truth. Did you all get on?
Yes, pretty much. I mean, obviously, like any job, we had our days where, sometimes
I think
it was different for me. I was a child, so I mean, I just went along for for the crack. It was marvelous.
I think what I got on with everybody, but I was a tiny bit irritated by the choice of casting, which, in other words, he could have cast it with better actors and it would have been a better programme.
You're talking about Peter, aren't
No, I'm not actually. I mean, I was talking really about, Kenny, for instance, who was not even an actor. At least Peter had some experience and had training. At least.
Oh, they're up at the window. Yes, I know what you mean. There was some quite, but they knew that as well. Thames knew that. That's why he didn't
last.
He didn't last. Yeah.
Yes.
So make the best of Kenny, folks.
Yes, they seemed to leave him in the lab most of the time, didn't they?
Best place for him, really.
Yeah, but the problem is when you do that, it wasn't just the first series. In some of the later stories, they got. I mean, I can only put it this way: bad actors. And it only takes one bad actor in a scene to slow it right down, or to make it look ridiculous, or generally to spoil the scene.
Here we have a towering performance.
Yep.
Yeah, there we are.
Oh,
Yes, I
remember
that
that.
upsets me when he drops that.
Yes, it's down in the Thames somewhere. They were really nice props as well, those little blasters.
Couldn't he have used telekinesis to get
Yes.
it out again?
Exactly what I was thinking. Or he could have gone down and, he could have done it, got the coordinates right. He could have even jaunted. We never did jaunt underwater, but I dare say we could.
Yes, in your AE suit.
That's right, yeah.
Well, that's what it means, adaptable to any environment, including the River Thames.
Well, if you can drive underwater in Crazy Taxi on the PlayStation 2, I'm sure we'd be able to do it.
Oh, turn it up, you two. We've got other things to think about.
Turn it up.
I'm really sorry, especially about losing the amulet. I suppose we'll never find Stephen yet.
So he's not really cared, does he? He
Well,
doesn't,
that's
he doesn't give a monkeys.
That was the point I was making.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's not a personal comment. It's a.
No, he's
Comment
probably a
about-
nice guy. I remember me and Kenny me and Stephen used to have rucks all the time because we were about the same age, and jealousy crept in and all that malarkey.
Jealousy about what?
Well, I was better looking than him. It's as simple as that, really. He was an ugly little bug.
I can tell some tales, I'm telling you, about those two.
Really? Go on then.
The time you almost poisoned us in the rehearsal room by putting down the toilet a mixture of things that bubbled.
Oh yes, well, that was an experiment.
Yes.
I was getting into character.
Terrible fumes came
yes.
out of the toilet.
Yeah. It was all to do
And
with...
they used to throw each other about.
Yes, we had... Yes,
Yes.
there was always rucks going on.
Fisticuffs going on
Yes.
all the time.
No, I didn't really like him.
Was always never Peter's fault.
Never
of
my
course.
fault, no.
Oh, look, Osama
Oh,
bin
look,
Laden.
it's yes,
Yes, it is.
exactly.
God.
How extraordinary.
God, that's where he is. I knew it was our fault.
I knew he was.
We would have dealt with somebody like that without any difficulty at all.
A stun gun.
Oh, Jedikiah.
Yes.
That would be.
So, Philip, how did you relate to these younger people you
Oh,
were working with,
well-
from your booth or from the studio floor?
No, I was an avuncular figure. I used to look after them, try to get them into the car park. Do you remember that? Every time I went into the car park, there was a row. I was trying to sort their little problems out.
Oh, Thames Television treated actors with a total lack of respect. They wouldn't allow the actors into the car
Oh,
park.
that was. I don't know whether it still goes on, but it was a scandal, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a limited space in the
Total
car.
scandal.
Limited space in the car park, so they allowed all the staff in. And as one of the car park attendants so eloquently put it, we don't have enough room in the car park for the employees. Never mind you, bleep bloop actors. So I had to remind him if it wasn't for the actors, there wouldn't be a studio. But he didn't seem to.
You didn't take that on board, did
No,
he?
not at all. But they literally turned away stars like Sid James, and who just simply went home and said, "Tell the producer I'm at home if he wants me." And they did it to Benny Hill as well.
Benny Hill, yeah. Poor
Who
man.
earned Thames millions. So in the end, he had his own caravan built on site. So he didn't have to put up with the indignity.
Yeah. Terrible.
And did you see the Benny Hill program the other day?
No.
Yes.
He was treated appallingly by Thames too. He was just sacked one day, and he'd built himself a flat right near the studio so he could be close, and they just sacked him, same as they did with us, without a word of thanks.
The studios are still going, though, aren't they?
32 years. Yes, it's...
It's still a TV studio.
Yes. Oh, yes.
The only one-eyed creatures I've ever heard of are the Cyclops.
We spent a lot of time in Studio 2, didn't we?
Giants from Greek mythology. They're said to have a taste for
Now, you see,
human
Tim's
flesh.
voice has improved even by now.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, I think everybody was so depressed
However, I
by
have
the
found
sound of
this
it,
in a
they
local Surrey
just
paper.
took it off.
He has taken a lease of Bentham
what was
Hall.
the schedule for this? What, would you record it all in one day after a rehearsal period?
No, we did
two.
5 days rehearsal for each episode, and then recorded what's known as 2 back to back. In other words, a 10-day period, then we'd record 2 together.
2 days, was it? Was it 2 or
Yeah.
3 days?
Sometimes 3, depends, but usually 2.
Yeah.
Um,
And then back to the rehearsal studios.
that's it.
When did we do filming? Did we do all the
No,
filming at
before, we
one?
did filming all in one go long before, so we were doing filming for different episodes.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I've got something on my chin.
You pay good money for
Oh,
that
it's a
ride
shadow.
nowadays, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, look, we're getting a quick flash of the spike.
I mean, I suppose for the
Cyclops.
time, what was it, 1973?
Hmm.
This was quite outstanding for...
72, wasn't it?
Was it 72?
That's when you were making it, yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
went
suppose it
out
would have been
in
72. Yes, that's true.
This was somewhere near Guildford, this place, or was it Lord Guildford's place? I can't remember.
I can't remember
His
now.
house.
Yes.
And Ginge rides his motorbike after us across the lawn and then goes into the river
That's right.
or into the lake.
That was a beautiful bike as well, wasn't
Mm.
it? Was it BSA 750 or something?
There's nothing wrong with any of this. This would work nowadays. This is not second rate at all. That's why it's so unnecessary to spoil it with the odd naff special effect.
Mm.
I mean, that's a lovely use of colour there. It's almost black and white, but it isn't.
The girl Carol is one of a group of telepaths known as the Tomorrow People. They are essential to my purpose. Get them. I have the boy. He can serve as my decoy.
All that dialogue, I guess, also because it's a new series, served to, remind or tell
Yeah,
those
yes,
who
right.
haven't seen the
Mm.
first episode.
I'll tell you who the stuntman was on this. It was Bill Weston. And he drove it straight in. There he is, that's Bill Weston. He drove it straight into the drink.
Yeah.
He was an excellent stuntman.
Oh, they've taken me silencer off. I can do whatever I like now.
This is known as the tile music.
Yep, I can telepath.
Stephen! Just outside the house.
Just outside Guildford.
Where are you? A second floor room, I think. Yes, a small one with bars.
Something I've never heard about from you all is how, of course, at this point you were shooting it, so you didn't know whether or not it was going to be popular. But once it started going out, how did that affect your lives?
Well, it changed everything, really. I mean, I suppose for me, I was still going to... Well, I just finished school, I think, but I had all school friends who watched it. So,
I'm not sure how close to it going out we actually recorded. I have a feeling it's pretty tight. I think we were actually recording only about 2 weeks ahead, I think.
it was something it was very tight, wasn't it?
Because we were aware by the time we'd finished doing the first series that it was very popular.
Section of space to another. It's a smashing way of getting around. Just wait till you learn it.
I suppose, Philip, they wouldn't recognise you unless, you asked for the paper in the paper shop in a very Tim sort of voice.
Oh, well, I don't. Well, I did appear several times in,
Well, that's true, as the...
in the show, yes.
as
But
Timeless,
of course,
isn't it?
I don't think they would really. And even now, I mean, middle-aged people come up to me and say, "Talk, talk. I want to hear Tim." And as soon as I do, they say, "Oh my God," because when they were young, it was very, very important to them.
Yes.
That's why I know we do make a lot of jokes about it, but it was very important to a lot of kids in those days.
Absolutely. Well, to a lot of people still.
Now, you see, this is all very stiff, all this.
Yeah.
All the actors have to keep dead still because they didn't understand the rollback and mix procedure. I mean, again, in almost Benny Hill type chase, it's just
Yeah.
silly.
Then it is a kid's thing, so I suppose in retrospect, but...
No, it was bad.
It was bad, yeah, it was a silly... Oh, this is the one.
It's interesting also the music is working against
Yes,
the potential
absolutely.
pace of
Yeah,
the scene.
absolutely. Absolutely right. I mean, that's a rubbish stunt nowadays, but quite spectacular.
It
for
was
those
quite
days.
spectacular, especially then, yeah. Ooh. Well, you shouldn't have taken the silencer off, Ginge.
Is this how you do that vanishing trick? With one of these belts?
No, not really.
You see the clothes I'm wearing there? They actually wanted me to grow into them. They weren't going to actually make them to fit.
Teleportation's one of our three main...
And I did grow into them quite quickly, actually.
Telepathy, that's mind talk. Teleportation, that's...
It's extraordinary, actually, how the pace of the whole thing changed in the second series. And I think the mood of the thing, too.
For the better, or?
I think for the better. Considerably so. I think there was less...
Yeah, we didn't have
Sending
very
it up.
much of this after the first.
Well,
couple of
you've
seasons.
made the point. Yeah, you don't need to see it, do you?
Yep, I'll go wobbling around the room.
Don't worry.
Oh dear, sending out a message to kids that they can smash their
Yes,
parents.
that's right.
So-
Don't worry. It's only a Ming.
Say hello to Stephen, Tim.
Hello, Stephen.
That's Tim.
My first introduction to you, darling.
Yes.
How'd you...
See, that's
I
a very
remember
odd...
it well.
It's a very odd shot of Carol there. I mean, where's the camera to get that shot when you go to her close-up? It's very strange.
Did they use a lot of low shots?
No, I think it was dropped in afterwards.
You mean you're alive?
Not exactly, no. But I am capable of original thought about things I have not been programmed for.
Can he be controlled?
Interesting line.
You feel uneasy. It's understandable.
You've got to bear in mind, this is 1972. Personal computers were unknown completely.
Completely, yeah.
Only major organisations had computers, and they were huge. And they had large spools of tape on them, going backwards and forwards to find the relative data.
Where are we anyway?
So the whole idea of a computer was very advanced. In mind, one that could actually talk.
Pay for all this. That's John.
Except it had 2001 with HAL. Do you remember 2001?
Yeah, well, that's obviously what it was
That's
based on.
where it was based. It was based on that.
Yeah, but
really.
no, that's not, the point I'm making is that we are now so familiar with computers,
Yeah.
and 1 in 3 households has them. People were not familiar with computers at a personal level in those days, or on a personal level.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the comments seem dated now, but they were perfectly reasonable things for people to say in those
Yeah.
days.
Oh,
Watch it. Not bad.
I can still do that.
can you?
Yes.
Could you
Do you?
demonstrate it now, please?
Cooks too. Yes, kind of. Crikey, I'm tired. Why didn't you have a little...
Golly gee. I'm fair pooped.
Oh, look.
Oh, yes, space-age pillow.
That's just going to make squeaking noises all
Yeah,
night.
I mean, there's no way you could sleep on something like that,
You've
is there?
gone to sleep with your shoes on.
Oh. Well, I must be doing a runner.
Not surprised after what he's been through. Well, you can go home now. if you
Yes,
like
he's
to
been through a lot. and
A lot have been through him, yeah. Well, boom.
What a day.
Here's some cocoa.
Tiresome tart, I'm thinking.
Oh, what's wrong, Stephen?
I've got my shoes on.
Parents, they must be worried stiff.
My dad
Yes,
doesn't
I
even
wanted
know
to
me.
talk to you about that.
What did you do about your parents? I mean,
Let's
do they
find
know?
out.
Oh, yes. Couldn't possibly manage without their cooperation.
Can't think what I'm going to say. How am I going to explain, John?
Would you like me to do it? I could jaunt over there right away if you like.
Terrifying.
Would you?
Yeah.
Sure. Sooner the better. There's going to be quite a panic out.
Still not clear whether I live in the lab or live
No,
at
you
home.
do.
I was just thinking.
You do
that.
have your
where
house.
Where did you live?
No, you definitely live at home.
You have a home.
You have a flat, I think.
And Carol has a
Had.
flat as well.
Well, because Carol jaunts over to you, and you'll see it coming up. Because you've got this, as you say, Neil Armstrong above your head.
That's your big moment.
Yes, my first night in the old lab.
Are you all right, Stephen?
Yes, I'm all right.
Impish grin.
Thank you.
You rehearsed that for weeks. didn't you?
I don't think so. I think it's hit and miss, really.
Yes, I remember this. This was shot up near Ruth Boswell, the producer's house, somewhere in North London, when I go knocking on this woman's door. I mean, this is all so slow and unnecessary. Why the
It's
front
where you
door open?
play games by appearing and disappearing, isn't that?
Oh, yes.
Drive the poor woman.
Whose
out of
house
the
was
map.
it? Was it Ruth's house?
I think it was,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Why the front door was open, I don't know.
My name is John. I've come to see you
It was the 70s.
Yes, we were allowed to. Everyone talked to each other.
Are you hungry, Stephen?
Yes, starving.
Can I recommend? What about chicken and pineapple?
Now, you see, this is the first time that we produce, or that Tim produces food, isn't it?
Hmm.
Can you manage that?
All the effects. Steak and chips.
Smashing.
I used to eat that in the canteen. That's where all the
Yes,
food came
you
from,
did.
wasn't it? Yes, I loved steak and
All
chips.
you youngsters used to eat everything you could get your hands on in that canteen.
That was before we knew the risk about BSE, of course.
No, never used to think about things like that. We were all so innocent, really.
Oh, look, some ginger beer.
Oh.
Nothing's changed in my life at the moment then. Just got rid of the ginger.
Tomorrow person. What is this? Some kind of a kid's game? If it is, it's
She's
in
quite a
very
hard
poor
woman,
taste.
isn't she?
Yes.
Stephen's disappeared.
He hasn't.
Well, she looks concerned.
Less than a minute ago.
What?
My real mother is, well, thinks I'm her uncle.
Simple as that. Now, please let me explain.
You'd better. And be quick. The police are out looking for him. I'm going to phone them.
No, don't do that. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jameson, but I had to show you. What I am, Stephen is. What I can do, he can do.
She's taking this all very well.
I promise you he's quite safe.
Yes, all terribly well spoken. That was all filmed again before we'd done the studio stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, right, so that she hadn't started in the studio. Really?
Sorry to waste food, Tim.
How the hell did we tie it all together?
Wasted here. Now to follow. Apple crumble.
Well, that's the way it was done in those days. You did it was called pre-filming, don't you remember?
That's right, yes, I do.
So sort of before you'd worked out your character.
Absolutely,
really, yes.
and that's what I'm saying. John is subtly but noticeably different in that scene.
No. No.
The disco ball there.
Mm. Mirror ball.
In the days when you used to have number plates on the front of bikes.
Mm. I'm possessed.
Yes, but what about in the episode?
Yeah.
It's the only time he gets away with stiff acting, look. He's possessed.
Not in my
I think
mind.
you're going to yank Tim's tubes,
I
aren't
am
you?
going to undo him.
Oh, yes. One of many times.
One
I
of
was
many.
shut down.
You were shut down quite a few times.
Yes. And wasn't I
Those bikes are marvellous.
destroyed at one time and came back to life again?
Yes.
That's
Well, here,
what's
here you
known
go.
as-
This is it. Oh.
Yes. Now you find out where you live.
You always were a turn-off, weren't you? Oh dear.
That'll be the end of episode 2. A resounding silence.
I'm fascinated by
So I
the...
was just yawning.
Ah, now you see there, the
Yes,
Cyclops...
Robert Bridges,
Yes,
yes.
he gets the credit, but he wasn't even in it at that point.
Dan Carter.
No, but that's
Dr. Chris Evans.
The
Oh,
late,
yes, I
late
remember
Ginger
this
Whinger.
He's dead now, you know.
Harry
Is he?
Clark. Who is?
The
Chris Evans.
technical advisor. He died a long time ago.
Chris Evans is dead as well.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, he's alive, but he's dead in the war, isn't he? He's got about as much career as Michael Barrymore.